Jerry Reynolds joined us here. Before we get to Jerry, I just wanted to go real quick here to the poll and see what Jerry thinks. Our Sactown Sports poll, your favorite Kings move of the offseason. Sign Sasha, 42%. Extend Domas, 42%. Re-sign Harrison Barnes, 7%. Trade for Duarte, 9%. Let's see what all-time Kings icon, former coach, GM, player personnel director, and broadcaster Jerry Reynolds thinks. First of all, how are you, Jerry? How's your Friday going?
Well, pretty good. I can barely hear you. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine, and we will.
Now I'm hearing, I heard Chris.
Yeah.
Whitey, you in a tub or something?
I am, actually. We'll get that going. Why don't you go ahead and ask your first question, Chris?
Yeah.
I'll get my microphone situated.
Well, Jerry,
the poll, I mean, is interesting. I've been kind of following it, to be honest with you. I wouldn't fault. The only thing I might have different, I'd probably view Harrison Barnes differently than apparently fans. I'd probably have him at about 15% and maybe Duarte at 1%. And I mean, I see nothing wrong with. I think he's could be a nice pickup, but Harrison's a proven player and valuable to this team. And then with Domas and Vesnikov, I mean, I think that's probably about equal. So, yeah. So anyway, that'd be my difference. I like I say, I like Harrison, better than most, I guess.
Right. Yeah. No, I think there's definitely something to just his steadying presence. And I mean, I think people do forget that he was 15 points per game, the Kings' third leading scorer last year. So third or fourth leading scorer. So he's an incredibly important piece of this team, both off and on the floor. Somebody I'm curious to get your thoughts on, Jerry. Jordan Ford has had a really, really impressive summer league in California Classic and in the Vegas Summer League. I just want to know your thoughts on his performance so far and what you think about his chances of maybe possibly even making this team, whether it be a two-way deal or actually earning himself a contract.
Well, I agree with you. I think he's really been a breath of fresh air. I know he's scored about 16 a game and 5.5 assists or something like that. And it's been fun to watch. Really plays hard. The truth is, I mean, and no disrespect to Matthew Dellavedova, but I mean, I think Jordan is really a better player than Matthew at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had him on your team, on the roster for that matter, as a kind of a limited backup point guard, I don't think you would be disappointed. I mean, certainly seems like he's got a great attitude to go with it. But yeah, to me, he's the bright spot of the summer league for the Kings.
Jerry, can you hear me at all now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay, great. You've scouted for so many years and you got so many great stories about scouting. If you would help us understand, when scouts are watching players in summer league, what kind of things are you guys looking for besides just, the numbers a player puts up?
Well, I do think you're it's kind of like you guys were saying earlier, and you're right. I mean, so many guys are really just out there for themselves, and you kind of want to look for guys who aren't,
right.
that can put up good numbers without being, and you want scorers to be hungry, but it's okay to actually move the basketball occasionally, and it doesn't have to just stick every time. But so you're looking for that, and I mean guys that I think as much as anything, guys maybe second year guys or guys looking to make a roster that looks like their games could translate to the NBA. Are they physical enough? Could they fit in with better players? That type thing. And I mean, and Jordan Ford, I mean, I think that's a case you could make for him. Could he fit in with better players? Is he tough enough? He's small, but is he tough enough? Well, certainly looks like he's not lacking for that. So I mean, that's some of the things. And, it's like with the rookies. I always like to watch Summer League for the rookies and see the guys that are better than you thought they were. And then guys that aren't as good as they're supposed to be.
Right. Jerry, I'm curious. Luke Laux said and has repeated that that this experience he thinks it's gonna make him a better assistant coach, and it also just gave him a better understanding of the things, or a portion of the things that Mike Brown has to go through as a head coach. I'm just curious, from your perspective and your experience on things, what is like really the biggest, or maybe some of the things we just don't think about in terms of the difference from being an assistant, whether it be a lead or somebody deep on the bench, to actually being the head honcho in charge?
Well, I think it is a great experience because, if you've been in today's game, especially third, fourth assistant, or even second, if you've never been a head coach, it's a big difference. You're making the decisions. You're putting guys in. You're taking them out.
Right.
You're kind of held accountable. So it's a great experience for a young guy like him. It's one of those things that down the road he has a better understanding about what being a head coach is. And I've always said, until you are, you can't really know that you're the guy that maybe in the locker room somebody's mumbling about you.
Jer, you watch a game now and assistant coaches take up a couple rows. When you were the head coach, what did you have, like 8, 9, 10 assistant coaches? How many did you typically have behind you when you were the head coach?
Well, my first interim stint, I had 0 for 2 or 3 games, and they did hire Don Boozy to join me, who was terrific. But he was it.
Uh-huh.
And then later, my second term I had one, at never more than one, a couple different ones, but just one at a time. And we had a part-time advanced scout.
Oh, jeez.
So we were pretty well staffed.
Really?
There wasn't anything left to chance. And of course, I had no practice facility and flu commercial and all that,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my sympathy factor doesn't go very deep.
Jerry, I was just curious to go back to the basketball side of things. Neemias Queta is going to be out the remainder of this summer league, and people were talking about him as a potential. Is this finally the time he's going to make it up to the big club? I'm just curious, what do you think the Kings even need from that backup center spot?
Well, I think probably with him, they're hoping to see a guy who can protect the rim a little bit, which he can, and has some offensive skill. I honestly, I was kind of disappointed with him. Just my opinion, that I was wanting to come out of this summer experience games he did play and say, yeah, he's better than Alex Lynn. And I don't really feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
That he'd be an improvement on the backup, and I just don't believe that he would right now. And everybody has their own opinions, of course.
Jerry, we'll let you go on this one. How good can Keegan Murray be this year? In what ways do you expect him to improve?
Well, I think we saw a good bit of his potential improvement in the Classic. Those 2 games, he was just terrific, and I was just really, really impressed with him. Not surprised. I think he's a guy that is going to continue to get better. And I was telling, I think on the Kings Herald, I was doing a little podcast, and I said, the thing I would say, and I remember, not a lot of fans tend to forget things, but Keegan was a better rookie than Peja was.
Wow.
And he was, or Hedo Turkoglu. And I'm not saying he's going to be better than them in 5 years, although I wouldn't say he wouldn't be either.
Mm-hmm.
At some point you got to give. To me, it looks like he could be in a short time frame, that third best player.
Wow.
And it's like, goodness gracious. How many rookies or second year rookies looked any better in the summer league than him? Certainly you could make the case for Jabari Smith, maybe. You could make the case for Wembanyama, even though he didn't actually do better overall, but he did. Certainly, he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think the guy. I'm a fan. He just plays, and he's getting more aggressive, and we just seen remarkable improvement with him through the course of last year, and it looks like he's taken another step. And about another step going forward, and you may have a legitimate star quality guy.
All right. Yeah. He's still got that star quality, of course. He'll never lose it. The great Jerry Reynolds. Jerry, I missed you. I'll see you Monday. Thanks. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
I'm going to have one. I'm going to stay right inside here.
Yes.
Not even venture outside.
No need.
There you go.
No need.
Veteran move.
It's way too hot.
See you, Jerry.
Yeah. See you guys.
Appreciate it. That's really interesting what he said about scouting players in summer league where everybody's out to get their own, and you actually, as a scout, look for guys that just don't play that way. For some guys, it's like you can't play that way.
Right. No, I mean, there's only one guy, usually maybe two max, on a roster who is allowed to have ultimate freedom when it comes to their game. Most of these guys are going to be asked to play a role, and that's why with guys like Kessler Edwards, it's not about, okay, what is Kessler developing in his game? Can he put the ball on the ground? It's just about, okay, in the context of actual NBA basketball, where he's just going to be more or less standing in the corner and playing defense on the offense's better guys. How does he look in those situations? All the other stuff is kind of gravy, and honestly, it's not really necessary to see. What you're really evaluating is, what would this guy look like in our system in this very specific role?
We're coming back with what is my favorite story of the day.